y'all remember the Kansas City Chiefs kicker who went down to the Benedictine College, right? And he gave the commencement speech to a bunch of Christian college graduates, and he extolled the virtues that a traditionally conservative Christian would extol, women's happiness. Well, it's all well and good that you're getting educated. I'm sure that you would find completeness and happiness. I'm sure you're looking forward to the day that you're going to get married and that you're going to begin and start your family, and that the fulfillment begins there. Speaking about how woke is wrong and how the institutions, are just rejecting traditionalism for the sake of modernity and asking the questions as to how well that's working out for them. There was nothing inherently wrong with it, and no sensible individual that listened to parts, clips, snippets, or even the full speech would have issue with it. But of course, we're dealing with somebody who is in a profession that in the locker room, well, they might have opinions about his speech, about how they agree with him, but in front of the camera, well, they got to take a different position because this is the NFL we're dealing with, the most successful team of the 2020s we're dealing with, and yeah, of course, they can't get behind Harrison Butker's incredibly tepid speech, if all things considered. I would have gone a little bit further. I'm sure you guys also would have had some additional content, comments to say over the top of it as well, but good on him for also not backing down at all, even though the NFL has condemned his speech for reasons. I don't know, man. It's a weird stance to take, but the NFL is a weird company at this point in time. But let's take a look at some of his teammates, some of his more rubber-spined teammates, somebody who has a 304 wife that prior to somebody else taking up an inordinate amount of spotlight from the team was one of the biggest off-the-field distractions for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes says he doesn't agree with what Harrison Butker said about traditional successful family life, but calls him a great person. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes defended embattled Chiefs kicker. Is he really embattled? Because I didn't play the clip or anything. It's like 5 minutes long of him giving, a follow-up speech. But wherever he goes, seems to be getting a loud applause. And the general sentiment online is that, he's pretty much based and red-pilled at this point. But okay. On Wednesday, calling him a great person in the wake of the divisive comments Butker made at a graduation speech. Thanks, NBC, for poisoning the well. What did he say? Women find solace and happiness in marriage and family creation, and men being honest and forthright and providers for their family would find great satisfaction in that. Very controversial. Definitely be warranting a embattled tag to his persona. Mahomes, 3-time Super Bowl winner, while Butker is also multiple-time Super Bowl winner. Walked a fine line. Yeah, sitting on that fence, right? Because you can't take a stance for additional values, even though you're buying public, the people that actually support the NFL instead of just passively watching, just wondering, is Taylor Swift going to show up in this broadcast? They would actually be down with what Butker had to say. I know Harrison. I've known Harrison for 7 years, and I judge him by the character that he shows every single day, and that's a good person. Mahomes told reporters of Chiefs training complex in Kansas City, Missouri, and someone who cares about the people around him, cares about his family, and he wants to make a good impact on society. Mahomes said that an NFL team is filled with people with radically different views, and he's obligated to respect those difference of opinions, which is a fine position to take. It just kind of goes to show that prior to, Harrison making those comments, does anybody care what the thoughts of a kicker are? No, exactly. But everybody wants to hear from a quarterback and what kind of vapid nonsense he has to say. Well, this is what you get. So this is also, whenever an athlete comes out and has something to say about the goings-on of the world, this is why you should just take them for exactly what they are. They're multimillionaires who play a kid's game. They aren't these great thinkers. These are the jocks in high school that you used to either be, know how vapid they actually are, or experienced their persona firsthand and realize that, most of these guys, they were basically seed through high school. They were seed through the university system. These aren't intellectual powerhouses. So please treat them as such. And that might not be the same values I have, he added, but at the same time, I'm going to judge him by the character that he shows every single day, and that's a great person. So yeah, again, Tim Pool would be blushing by the amount of fence sitting that is on display right there, but nothing inherently wrong with that. I think Andy Reid, the head coach, ended up echoing those same sentiments, but the terrible things that Butker said at Benedictine College, a Catholic liberal arts school in Atchison, Kansas, he told female graduates they've been told diabolical lies, which I think both sides of the equation, feminists and tradcons, they would go ahead and agree to that. It's just they would come to radical conclusions as to the state of femininity, but diabolical lies, I think both parties agree on that. About the need to advance in their careers with the true value is that, no, not true value. Now you're lying. That's why you don't have anything in quotations here. This is editorialization. Staying at home to serve their husbands and their children. That's not what he said. How many of you are sitting here about to cross the stage and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? He said, some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you would bring into this world. There you go. There you go, right there. Is that being subservient to your husband? Well, if you're going to have a successful marriage, it would, especially in the confines of a Catholic union, I think that that's presupposed to the vows, but then again, you take a look at all of the underlying divorce rates and other things that plague modern marriages, and you might find, something else going on right there, but that doesn't really seem like, how many of you think that you've wasted your time and now you need to spend the rest of your life chained to the stove and getting fed uppercuts if dinner's pulled? A little bit of a stretch from that, right? Butker also used his platform to mock gay pride celebrations. Yeah, said abortion and IVF treatments are a form of societal disorder, and lashed out at the tyranny of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Again, what did he say that's wrong? No, nothing, but can't have his teammates, like Patrick Mahomes, like stupid-ass Travis Kelce, come out and go, yeah, no, there's nothing inherently wrong with that at all whatsoever. They need to ride this fence because adhering to any sort of ideology, adhering to any sort of religion that isn't inherently woke, is a transgression against society for these freaks. So Taylor Swift's boyfriend disagrees with teammate Harrison Butker on a majority of his views. Which one specifically? Like IVF being a sin? Well, you take a look at his girlfriend and the chance that she would be able to bring a healthy child to term. I could understand him potentially being upset with that, but a majority of his views, how men fantasize about having happy and successful families, that's kind of strange, but okay. Taylor Swift's boyfriend, Travis Kelce, spoke about how he disagreed with the majority of Harrison Butker's views in a speech that the Kansas City Chiefs kicker gave at Benedictine College. A speech drew backlash from many left-wing outlets and media pundits. Kelce was on a podcast show with his brother, who also played. Jason is recently retired. About the comments from Butker when it comes down to his views and what he has said at the commencement speech, those are his. I can't say I agree with the majority of it or just about any of it outside of just him loving his family and his kids. I don't think I should judge him by his views, especially his religious views and how he goes about life. No, but that's just not who I am. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Butker also said, Biden was delusional for making the sign of the cross at the pro-abortion rally at the same time proclaiming that he was a devout Catholic. Yeah, those two things are incongruous, put the emphasis on the right syllable. So theoretically, Kelce would end up siding with the hypocrisy as opposed to the written word. Weird. Butker also credits his wife with many of the successes that he's had in his life, saying, I'm beyond blessed with the many talents that God has given me, and I cannot be overstated that all my success is made possible because a girl I met in band class back in middle school would convert to the faith, become my wife, and embrace one of the most important titles of all, homemaker. Well, yeah, you're a multi-million-dollar earner, multi-Super Bowl champion, but yeah, if you have a happy household, a lot of other things end up getting ironed out and things just overall get better for you. I understand that that's not something that Kelce can reconcile, and neither can Patrick Mahomes, if you know anything about Brittany Mahomes, who we've talked about ad nauseum. And of course his brother Jackson Mahomes and his recently released from prison again father Patrick Mahomes Sr. But it's interesting, right? The way that these guys are phrasing their critiques of Harrison. I don't necessarily agree with what he has to say, but he's a good guy, okay? That's something that I've experienced at a very, very minuscule level, and several other people that I listen to on a consistent basis, like Fresh and Fit immediately comes to mind, where it's like, yeah, you end up getting people reaching out to you by saying that, you know what, hey man, I agree with a lot of things that you're saying, I just can't come public with what you're saying, or you know what, hey, I've got a family, I've got, things, just throwing up their excuses as to why they can't be as vocal as myself or other people are. It's like, okay, I understand. I think you're a coward and you're teaching your kids that, oh, you're just trying to keep them safe. If I say the stuff that you say, I'm going to end up losing my job. Where it's like, okay, cool. De facto, you're teaching your kids to be cowards and not being true to who they are just because you want to, I don't know, theoretically keep a roof over your head. Where it's like, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're also not teaching your kids good financial stability. But those are other conversations to have at another time. But just in today's day and age, right? Okay, like outside of this speech, like I said before, who knew who the kicker was outside of devout Chiefs fans for the Chiefs? Maybe because, he's on such a high-profile team, maybe more people know who it is. Okay. But the fact that he's going to stand 10 toes down on his values, preach them when he's asked to preach them. It's not like he's out there on the sidelines, handing out pamphlets like a Jehovah's Witness. That's not what he's doing, man. The fact that he's getting discounted, he's getting dismissed by the NFL, and these wishy-washy fruits like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce get put on center stage because they just don't want to offend anybody, because they'll go ahead and they'll take that Pfizer money, they'll take those Bud Light bucks in order to shill a product that, I don't know, makes the NFL look better in the eyes of investors. It becomes patently obvious who it is. The NFL, pick your corporation. You could just go ahead and pick an avatar for anybody who would denounce the sensible, reasonable words of Harrison Butker and extrapolate that out. Realize who the media, who society wants you to idolize and who they want you to demonize. And realize, at least ask yourself the question, is that all that good for me? Are they actually looking out for me? Because they say that they are, but in practice, are they really? Nah, exactly. Run that thought process for yourself in order to come to your own conclusion. But I know what I've got right here. I know whose side I'm on, and for the first time in my life, even as a former football player, I'm actually going to side with the kicker on this one. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.